Welcome back to Jam. This episode we're going to be talking about gender dysphoria.
You did not.
My name's Jason. I'm here with Mandy, and we're going to let Adrian take this one off. Adrian?
All right, so actually, I'm going to start out with a fun thing. What do you guys think gender dysphoria is? Without any help from the internet, what do you think it is?
It's a discomfort of yourself in your own body.
Almost. How about you?
I'd say what he said.
Okay, so when we talk about gender dysphoria, it's absolutely discomfort, but it doesn't have to necessarily be within your own body. Now, there are trans folk out there that will absolutely argue that point at me to death, but gender dysphoria is more, it's a discomfort with the gender that you were assigned to at birth. Now, we have three types of gender dysphoria. We have body dysphoria, we have social dysphoria, and we have mind dysphoria. I don't necessarily believe in or agree with mind dysphoria, mostly because I think it's linked to internalized sexism, but we can get back to that one. Body dysphoria is the one that everyone who knows what a trans person is, or who a trans person is, sorry, poor phrasing, that's the one they know. They think it is, like, they think transness is only a discomfort with your assigned gender at birth. Now, myself, like many others, would argue that you do not have to have body dysphoria to be trans, because there is also mind dysphoria and social dysphoria. One of the most common things you see, especially with non-binary individuals, it is less their own body and more what the social constructs of what someone wants to immediately gender them as portray and entail.
Okay. Yeah.
I was hoping there was a question or anything. Segue me into a conversation. The gears have stopped ticking.
So you don't have to dislike your body to have dysphoria, or to want to be a trans or non-binary.
Yes, you do not have to dislike your body. I know many non-binary individuals that are mostly content with what they have body-wise, and would honestly just wish people would see them as a person, not a gender. Wonderful. So I was watching a video on LGBT, and it was progressive folk in the LGBT versus conservative folk in the LGBT, and Blair White would argue that if you are non-binary, you are not transgender. And would say you have to have gender dysphoria to be transgender, which I agree. I agree with that 110%. I also think what dysphoria is a lot more broad than what people will see it as.
I don't think you have to be a trans to experience dysphoria. Body dysphoria, yes, but I don't think you have to be trans to experience social or mind.
I don't think you have to transition to do it.
Right, because non-binary people, they don't want to be either or, so that takes that out of there. It doesn't mean they're not valid, or what they think or what they believe is, not what it is. It's not trans, but it is dysphoria.
Right.
To
I think it falls under the trans
explicitly
umbrella
together, I don't think is right. Trans with dysphoria.
What do you mean?
Well, because body's dysphoria. you don't have to be trans to experience body dysphoria.
Okay. Oh, no, I see what you're saying. So body dysmorphia is...
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a difference between gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia. So you could absolutely be a cisgendered individual and feel body dysmorphia. But the difference here is going to be that it's not necessarily going to be linked to your assigned gender at birth. I was almost about to say not about your genitals, but that would be not correct, because being trans also isn't only about the genitals, and you could be a cisgendered man and think your penis is too big or too small, or a cisgendered woman and think your boobs aren't big enough or your ass isn't big enough and stuff like that, which is still genitalia-based body dysmorphia.
Well, right, and non-binary people can also feel that way, even though they're non-binary.
Yes.
So it's not specifically linked to a trans individual.
Yes, so the difference between a cisgendered individual and a transgendered individual, for if you do not already know, is that a cisgender individual identifies with the gender that they were assigned to at birth. If you do not identify with the gender you were assigned to at birth, you're most would say you're trans. Now, I know a lot of non-binary folk that do not take on the trans label because they are not transitioning sexually. So, and I am not the be all end all for trans folk. Everyone experiences it differently. Everyone has different experiences with it. While Blair White's words were absolutely infuriating, I can understand where she's coming from, but I do not think that non-binary individuals existing is what's holding the trans community back.
Right. That's what I was trying to say, is I don't think that to say that non-binary people are not valid or can't experience something is just acidine, because they absolutely can.
Yeah, I mean, like, to speak from someone else's experiences, like, it's also medically ableist in some cases, because not everyone can safely transition. Not everyone can take hormones.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
So gender dysphoria is not the same as being gay or lesbian. There's no association between the two.
Well, no, because if you're gay, then you have no problem being a man. If you're a lesbian, you don't have a problem with being a woman. It's trans. You have a problem with what you are. You're trying to change it to something else.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
So there's not that connection where it's automatically if you're having gender dysphoria that you all of a sudden are gay or are a lesbian.
And a lot of people go through that. I mean, for the longest time, I thought maybe I'm a lesbian when it was a completely different problem. So if you're not taught these things, it's hard to get to a solution.
Well, right.
And then, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
So I'm just thinking and going over some of the stuff that I was going over. So gender dysphoria is also not the same as gender nonconformity. Right?
Yeah.
So
that would be more non-binary.
Right. But I would personally argue that social dysphoria, just like body dysphoria and mind dysphoria, it's going to be a basic formula of, so body dysphoria is you feel discomfort with how your body aligns to your birth gender. Social dysphoria is you feel uncomfortable with how your birth gender aligns socially, so you probably wince if you hear yourself misgendered. And
right, like if you were called ma'am, that would
hurt.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily like, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a woman, but that's not who I am, and that's painful.
That's just like Jason being called ma'am. It doesn't make sense. So you see yourself as, okay, it doesn't make sense to call me ma'am when I look like a dude, and you do pass more than what you think.
Yeah. Well, thank you. When I try to explain it to cisgendered men and cisgendered women, specifically this example is men because they've been the only ones ballsy enough and nosy enough to inquire about these things in my life. I explain it to them in a way that is, what if one day you woke up, you went out, and after your entire life being living as a man, suddenly everyone started calling you she, her, and ma'aming you. That would be really uncomfortable, wouldn't it? That's what I'm feeling, except I had to live that up until now.
Right.
Pinch poke, you owe me a Coke. So, gender dysphoria is not a mental illness, as some people seem to claim that it is.
I think they get it mixed up. If you don't like something about yourself, or if you have depression, or if you're unhappy, what do? You go to a therapist or a psychologist and they help you. If you're not comfortable with your body, and you go to a psychologist or therapist to help you work things out and figure things out, and how to get to where you want to be. I think people take that and say, well, you need to get help because it's all in your mind. It is mind, but it's not in the same sense as what you would think. It's not like I'm having a rough day and need to go talk to a psychologist. They are literally having a problem with how they're existing.
Yes.
No,
And that is the part. You're not trying to convert them to think, to realize that they are their gender. They are trying to get them out of the depression and to accept things and to come to terms with things so that they don't hurt themselves.
Yeah. Well, and so gender dysphoria being labeled as a mental illness is a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, a lot of transgender folk don't feel like that them being transgender is what makes them mentally sick. They think it's all the rejection, of course, and all the shunning.
Right. That's what they're going to therapy over, not the whole, I think I am a man, or I want to be a man, but I am a woman. I need to be fixed. They're not doing that.
Yeah, it's not conversion camp.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like conservatives or other people out there that don't understand, they think, okay, you need to go get help. Okay, if they go get help, but it's not the kind of help that you think that you want them to get, or you think they need to get.
Well, that's correct, because gender dysphoria is not the mental illness.
Right, exactly.
Gender dysphoria may lead to mental illnesses.
Right.
Of depressions and all that stuff.
Just like PTSD on anything.
Right, exactly.
But on the other hand, not classifying gender dysphoria as a mental illness would actually leads into a gateway and a segue of trans people cannot get medicine because it's not being taken seriously as something that could save their life, because it's no longer medically classified as mental.
Well, right. But it kind of goes in with all of the other mental health issues, like dissociative order, or psychosis, or anything like that. It's any kind of mental disorder is so frowned upon. Like, if you let on that you have anything going on in your head that isn't quote unquote normal, people will look at you differently, treat you differently.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a stigma on any front. And so people are ashamed or embarrassed, or don't want to get help or seek help, or want to fight for that to be covered, because it is frowned upon or looked down upon in society, which is shit.
Well, no, it is. But the things that gender dysphoria can bring upon a person, such as low self-esteem, social isolation, and depression, anxiety, neglect to themselves, and all those things, they need to get help with. And that's what it really comes down to. So I think that...
Yeah.
I think that it still points to this society that we live in needs to be more open and understanding, and have definitely more funding for people that have mental illnesses that need help. Instead of shunning them and looking down upon them, help them.
Well, right. You can't tell someone, look, you're messed up, you need to get help, and then criticize them and look down upon them when they go get help.
For getting help.
It's ridiculous. Yes. Look, you can't have it both ways. Stop. Just stop.
Yeah. So when I was going through my own dysphoria, I actually did a lot of self-reflection, because when you really sit down and you think about it, medical transition is a giant step. That's a really big leap. That's a lot you're doing to your body. That's a lot of money and surgeries. That's a lot of cosmetics. And honestly, if I could have chosen to just be okay with being cis, I would have, because when I was pretending, fuck, my life was easier.
Well, but that goes into the if this was a choice, I wouldn't choose to be this way. I would choose to be normal because normal fits in. So obviously it's not a choice. I mean, here it is. It's a choice between being happy or not being happy. That's the choice.
Yeah.
The choice isn't who you are. The choice is, do I want to be happy or do I want to be depressed? Do I want to fit in or do I want to stand out?
Yeah.
Those are your choices.
It's about being the truest version of you that you can be. And I have my own problems with the concept of mind dysphoria, because that's a discomfort between, your assigned gender at birth and how your brain is. But when you really think about gender theory and all of that is constructed. All of that is created. What the whole boys are XYZ thing mentally and girls are XYZ thing mentally is completely and totally fucking made up. So...
Well, right. That's like, that goes back, kind of goes into the whole telling girls, oh, he just hits you because he likes you, and then complain because they won't get out of an abusive relationship later on in their life.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pick different things out of the way you grew up or you were taught, things you were taught, and then blame the victim, blame the person, but we were taught this wasn't, I was taught that I was a girl.
I mean,
I didn't learn that. I didn't know that. I was taught that.
Yeah. No, and I'd go as far as to say that social and mind dysphoria are one and the same thing. I mean, I don't think I would have started feeling mental dysphoria if not for the years growing up of you can't do XYZ thing because you're a girl, and no, don't do that. Boys do that thing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, at what point in a child's youth does the brain just go, well, I guess I'm not that gender then?
Well, right. And also, you can't wear that because you're a boy, or you can't wear that because you're a girl. You can't play with this because you're a boy. You can't play with that because you're a girl.
And that's not to say that these teachings are what make trans individuals, but the entire trans community would be lying to each other if we said that wasn't part of it. So,
well, right, but you're talking about the learned behavior. Just like you're not born racist, you're taught racism. Well, you're not born knowing or thinking a certain way. You're taught that way.
I mean, I went on hormones to see if I would feel better, and I did almost instantly. And I really do think it's because of chemical imbalances. I don't have the science behind transness, but I know in my experiences that I just physically felt better.
I think some of it is chemical imbalance. I don't think that if you have a chemical imbalance, you lean to being trans or gay or lesbian or whatever.
Right, I mean, yeah, that's just my experience.
Right,
so.
What I mean is chemical imbalance plays a big role in your mental health. I mean, it really does. So when you were put on medication and you felt better and you were able to think clearly and understand and make a decision and be comfortable, that's when you made a decision to continue going on or going to the doctor and saying, hey, it's just a chemical imbalance. Can we maybe get that leveled out? And then I'll, whatever.
Right. Yeah, no. And being gendered correctly is gender euphoria, mm-hmm. as opposed to dysphoria. And it feels correct. So.
Okay.
Jason, do you have any input?
So, have y'all heard of the 17th century French philosopher Descartes?
No.
No. Okay, so he had a habit of lying in bed until noon, just thinking. That's it. Lie there and think.
I like them already.
So there's a legend that says he came up with the idea of Cartesian coordinates one morning while he was laying in bed, watching a fly walk on the ceiling above him. So that's where he got this most famous saying, I think, therefore I am.
Okay, that's where that comes from.
That's that guy.
Okay.
So Descartes wondered how he could know for sure that his perceptions actually portrayed the physical world that was around him. For that matter, how did he even know there was a physical world? Is this truly us in here type of thing, right? So he decided that there was one thing that he could be sure of, and that he was aware of his own thoughts. So it basically meant that Descartes' mind was the ultimate reality, the only thing that absolutely existed. As for the physical world, there's a possibility that this is real. But you can't be for sure that the physical world around us is real, or is it just a perception of our mind?
So, like, are you really here? Am I really here? Are we really doing this?
Right. So it's the non-physical mind extending past the confines of the physical body in a Cartesian dualism. So that gets into later on where the dualism dominates the field of human sexuality. So the terms of sex and gender are used interchangeably in most of the literature. Researchers are converging on a consensus that sex refers to the physical attributes of the male and female body, while gender refers to the psychological experience of being masculine or feminine as a choice of the person.
I can see
Or
that.
not even a choice. I guess choice is a bad thing because it's how you feel through your mind. If you are feminine in a 6'5" ripped masculine dude, then you are that.
You are feminine.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been sitting here dwelling about this whole time while y'all talk.
No, that makes sense. That actually really, that really made sense. But it brings back to, okay, so if I am living the way I want to live, how I want to live, according, to my mind, whatever, and you have a problem with how I'm living and what I'm doing, that's on you and your
Definitely.
mind, not me and my mind.
I mean, there are issues within the trans community itself. Right now, we're actually seeing we're seeing a beautiful rise in trans women that are finally coming forward and saying, I am a woman and I'm still allowed to dress however the fuck I want. Wearing pants versus dresses all the time doesn't make me any less of a woman. This is stupid.
Well, right. It doesn't make you any less of a woman, just like it doesn't make a cis woman any less of a woman if she wears pants.
Yes. Yeah.
That doesn't, if you're a trans man and you want to wear a skirt or a dress or a kilt or whatever.
I mean, you're still a boy.
Yeah.
In a dress.
Right. And a cis man can wear that as well. And it shouldn't be made to be bullied because of it.
Cisgender people like to see, so take me as a trans person dressing in any sort of feminine way. So I dress in the way that my birth gender is coded, and then suddenly all of my trans everything is invalid.
Yes.
Which is fucking bullshit. So,
Yes.
And I will say that when working, I got more than half the time coded as a lesbian. Because being just cisgendered and gay is absolutely still more acceptable than being transgendered.
Mm-hmm. Growing up, and even now, I wore a lot of male boy clothes, guy clothes. And my mom would get mad at me because I wouldn't wear the dresses and the cute stuff. And she found out and realized the more she tried to push that, the more I fought back.
The more I don't want to dress like this. Yeah.
And I wasn't doing it out of spite. I was dressing the way I was comfortable. I felt more comfortable in the boy clothes because they're made looser than the girl clothes.
And you're also not going to feel comfortable dressing that way if someone's trying to push it on you. Like, you have to do this.
And
well, then I don't want to.
I like... If I could lay around in a pair of male flannel pajamas all day, I would. And I love flannel shirts. Like, I would wear flannel shirt. They're just comfortable to me. It doesn't... And I get looks like, you know, she's butch or she's a lesbian, or my family probably thought for the longest time that I was a lesbian. I didn't care because my whole point, and to me, I was dressing the way I felt comfortable. What did it matter if I wore boy clothes or flannel shirts or pajama bottoms all day if it's not affecting you? Being forced to wear things that are uncomfortable, everyone's done it, and you hate it.
Yeah.
Stop forcing people to be uncomfortable. You don't like it yourself. Stop forcing it. It's a form of bullying.
Yeah, no, and it's not fair. I mean, I don't know. I get the same vibe from forcing people to wear things just as I get from people saying XYZ kid can't wear these things because of really stupid, dumb, frivolous reasons. So, like, I don't know. I've had conversations with people personally to me, and I have friends that if their little boys choose themselves that they want to wear skirts, they let them. Mm-hmm. Because it's their self-expression. Has nothing to do with them, has nothing to do with femininity.
Here's the thing. Back in the 1800s, early 1900s, whatever, whenever, before fashion was a thing, men wore wigs. They wore skirts. They
did the makeup.
Powdered makeup. Yeah. They did all of that. It 100%. Wasn't until fashion came in and said, no, women wear this, men wear this, so they could sell more shit.
I'm still mad. Pants were for dudes because of horses, so... Then people stopped riding horses. Why does anyone wear pants anymore? This is bullshit.
I'm gonna get me some skirts.
You'd pull off a skirt.
I think so too. I can wear any underwear either.
Ah.
I can't say anything. So, Adrian, as you're going through your transition and doing your medicine and getting everything, do you feel like you've made any progress? Do you feel like you are starting to be able to pass, or are you still thinking that you're still in the beginning stages?
The dysphoria, it's absolutely an on and off experience for myself. I do think that after top surgery that I will be mostly okay. And honestly, that's really my biggest roadblock right now, because I feel like I'm shapely, and I mean, I will never be able to change the way my hips sit. I don't really care, but the tits aren't helping.
I'll get there.
Do you feel like you'll ever reach the point where you're like, okay, I am completely happy in my body?
Fucking no, but that's...
Do you think, okay, no.
Does,
that
yes.
That's not a fair question, because I think that anybody, it goes for anybody.
Now, do I think that one day I'll be able to look at myself and be like, okay, I'm not comfortable in my body, but it's not gender's fucking problem anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
That's better. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was definitely not worded correctly on my part. Because honestly, you're right. I don't think I will ever be comfortable in my own body. But
Yeah,
I think
it's hard.
I think the people who are comfortable in their own body work their ass off to get it, and you know what?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
You do you, and you think whatever you want to think because you work your ass off.
But I also don't want to dedicate that much of my human time to a gym, so
Yeah.
Jesus fucking.
I don't need to be built like a Michelangelo statue. Honestly, I just need to not have titties.
You stop. You did. You are a veteran, and you were in the Marine Corps, and you absolutely did not go to the gym every day, but you look probably better than most of the people that go to a gym every day.
Well,
So
yeah,
you could do it
but-
without being in a gym, but you do have to dedicate a hell of a lot of time.
No, you
for it.
do. If I really wanted to buff up like the other people was instead of just cutting out like I was, then yes.
I don't necessarily enjoy turtle bellies. Like, yeah, they're hot, but are you healthy though? Or do you just look healthy?
Right.
Yeah, that.
And
There's
that's
a lot
the
into
part
it.
that scares me. Like, if you're cut, awesome. If I can tell by your eating habits and the fact that you literally never drink water is how you're that cut, and the fact that you spend 12 to 24 hours a day in the gym, you're not healthy, you just look good.
Well, right,
It's scary.
or you don't go
Yeah,
get
that's
plastic
true.
surgery done on your stomach to make it look like you have a six pack when you don't.
Yeah,
Or
and
calf implants or stuff like that.
Yes.
I'd rather the people that I'm ogling be healthy. So, does anyone in this room have any more questions about dysphoria, what it may or may not entail?
I don't have any more questions. I'll have to do a little bit. No, I'm not even gonna say that. Cut that part out. I don't have any more questions.
Well, so you got into earlier Blair.
She is a conservative trans woman. Her view is you can't be transgender without physical gender dysphoria, which I think that's gatekeeping, and I think it puts the trans community further back more than anything.
That doesn't sound right. Why would that?
She thinks you have to be a transsexual to be a transgender individual. She thinks you have to medically transition for anyone to take trans folk seriously, and it's all sorts of nasty. It's
Oh, that doesn't sound right at all.
There's kind of prejudice within their own within their own community.
and that happens a lot with elder queers that think you have to transition from one binary to another. But I mean, it also comes from the fact that they grew up not being taken seriously because they would look like X gender when they were trying to be Y gender. But that's not other trans people's fault. That's bigoted cis people's fault.
Yes.
Right, it is.
So I think mostly wear what you want to wear, be who you want to be. It's your life. No one else is living it for you. You're the one that's going to die with regrets or die happy. And for those of you that think or believe there's a life after this or a higher power, you are the one that's going to answer for your life and all the good or bad you've done, not someone else. Not your friend, not your husband, not your wife, not your partner, not your mom, no one, just you.
Exactly. Listeners, if you have any more questions about gender dysphoria or anything that's been talked about on this podcast, let us know. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Join us next time. We're going to be talking about hairy holiday masks. That sounds fun. Hey, and remember, it's your mind. Live your own reality. Bye.